Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And it's NFP day, so we are expecting some volatility later on. I am looking here across the European data. There is no data with the exception of French car registration that comes out at the top of this next hour. And then that's it until we get to what they like to refer to generally as the granddaddy of them all, which is the non-farm payroll report. They're expecting, or they're looking for forecasts of 600,000. Actually, no, it's 700,000. That's for the private. So looking for 700,000. Last month was 559,000. Unemployment rate of 5.7. Other than that, we do have at the same time is going to be Canadian building permits, as well as exports out of Canada. And then at 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll have durable goods and factory orders. And that will be it. Obviously, the big driver is going to be non-farm payrolls in the morning. And like I said, or later on in the morning. But no European data to speak of whatsoever. Taking a look, we have seen NASDAQ make a quick little jump up here. Pretty decent little jump too. Actually, if you take a look at it, saw that coming out and just started scooting. And actually, I need to go on and pull this back. There we go. For the full day session VWAP. But we did make that jump up here. So we made it a little bit of a run, and S&Ps continue to remain way up in here. We've already gone all the way up to, what was it, 43.19 maybe? Take a look at that. And the high has been 43.18 a quarter. We're 43.16 and a quarter right now. So S&P still holding up. NASDAQ has been a little bit more. If you take a look at this here, kind of coming back into balance, you see right here. So we'll see how we do react later on in the morning, whereas S&Ps, and we'll get to that. I'm just looking at it from a profile perspective. Okay, so you can see here, we have made a run, but now we've kind of moved into balance. So potentially we could start to break out of balance and maybe move lower, unlike S&Ps, which have just continued to go on a climb. You see, just relentless. So you're not going to see a market. One trader noted a few weeks ago, a seasoned NYSE floor trader says markets don't go from bull to bear. They're going to go on and, let's say with the NASDAQ, let's say if this would have been the NASDAQ coming up, then we see a market then go into or return back into balance. You see here? And then potentially we can start to go on and, maybe start to, break lower potentially. But you're not really going to see a market just turn around and just go from this kind of run. All of a sudden now we're all the way down here, unless something just unbelievable came out. And even then, you'd see the market snap back here, and then we could maybe move lower. So once again, which has made a pretty good point or sense, which is markets don't go from bull to bear. They go from bull to even to kind of flattish. Then we start to maybe open the door for a move lower, go lower from balance, and then we start to develop momentum to go and go lower. The only thing is, and that has not changed, the volume has been absolutely abysmal, which does make this suspect up here, but nonetheless, we're still moving higher. There's no doubt about that. And you can see here, we're up here, 43.16 a quarter. Unbelievable. I think that we're all the way up in here. See here on the 2-hour chart. And daily. We're just up here in the stars. I guess we have to move it up to here. And that would potentially get us to 4,400. Maybe we do make that stretch up there. Who knows? Take a look, see what crude oil's been doing. That was a pretty big move that we made yesterday, getting this drive up here. And actually, I didn't even notice it because we had those OPEC meetings. I'm like, I'm not going to get in the way of something like that. But this was interesting here on the 30-minute. We had almost like a medium-legged doji, but this was definitely a gravestone doji. And then we dropped off pretty big. And then on the rally back, because this one would have been right there, we came back to 75, 67. And then we dropped back, and we're kind of still hanging up here. Take a look at on a 2-hour chart. We are still way up in here. And for us to get above that 74.23, which is a monthly, is pretty key. Very key. That being said, we'll take a look at some of the other markets. Quick look around. Euro remains lower. Well, we're even though this was key support here, 1836. We tried to bounce up a little bit yesterday. Remember when we came on, we just put in that low at 1836. So obviously we did move lower. It appears we moved higher, but then we finished it near these lows, and we extended further back. And cable also a little bit weaker here. Aussie, same thing. Dollar yen still moving higher. At key level here right now on the weekly chart, 1152, and then the cash dollar index, pretty good move here. Resistance is going to come in right there, 82, 92, 83, approximately. So with that, we'll just go in and move into the analysis, starting halfway here with the euro. I think she was taking a long time to load up. So that is pretty key support there on that 1836 on a weekly. So how much further can we go on and pull back? Let's go and stretch this out. Take a weekly here. Got a little level right here, which is 1813, and this one, which is on a more of a stretch, 1798. So let's go with 1798. This is a weekly wick low. 1798 on the downside, and that'd be pretty oversold. Probably open to a bounce from there. And on the upside, going to a 2-hour chart. If we were to get a bounce back on this, probably right there, 1864, but the real resistance comes in right here, there. 18, we'll go with that, 1877. 1877 on the upside. A lot of this is baked in the cake, I think, already on the NFP. I mean, they have to be something really outsized from the expected number for it to really cause a big reaction. I think the euro can go lower. I think we'll find support around that 17.98. But a true break, and it breaks much lower, and we rally hugely, which could be definitely an outsized number. Let's go and move into the cable. Take a look at the weekly. Previously, we had 37.76. We've already come down here. And take a look at the weekly. You can see right here, 36.95 is huge. Looks like it wants to make a move down there. We'll take a look at the daily. Some decent little support in here. Look at that. 37.31. So I tell you what, we're going to go with that. 37.31 today. Once again, I think a lot of these numbers are baked in the cake. So once again, I think it would have to be a big surprise in order for us to get a bigger move than we've already had. Taking a look at resistance. Well, you can see we've got this medium-legged doji here. So it would be the close there, and that is going to be 38.38. And that actually happens to confluence with this low here and this close open here. See that right there? 38.38. Moving on to the Aussie dollar, that has continued to go and slide back. We're going to go and take a look at the weekly. And you can see this 74.77, pretty key level. Look at that. Look at all the touches here. Here, here. Bit of a battle there before they finally go lower. And then on the way back up, we run out of gas just right before that key number. And once we get above 74.77, it's blue skies ahead. So that's going to be our support, 74.77. Oh, I apologize, 74.27, 74.27. And then to the upside, you get a little bit of a rally. Like all these little touches there. Still probably not enough. Let's go right there. 74, actually 74.99. Let's just call it 74.98. Moving on to the dollar yen. Looking at that weekly chart, we talked about that 11.55. That is going to remain. 11.55 looks like we did move above it, but 11.55 is key on the weekly close. That will remain as far as resistance. And then support. See these two wicks there? 11.09. And we had 11.07. We'll stick with 11.07. And let's see. Now moving on to the cash dollar index. Analysis is rather quick because we're just hitting against the very key levels and we're pretty oversold or overbought depending on the circumstance. Moving to the weekly. And we're coming up against this level here. We go with this close, weekly close there. It's 92.91. Right there. It's actually 92.88. So we'll go with that, 92.88. And for support, generally with non-farm payroll, we'll have, okay, if it takes out this level, then that level. But once again, we're pressing up against some very, very key levels. So that's why we're not having, secondary support, secondary resistance. Looking for support, look on the daily here. We've got 92.31. but maybe for a little overshoot, take a look at a 2-hour chart. There it is, 92.30. 92.30. Oh, there we go. 92.26. And with that, we're going to move into Bitcoin. Looks like NASDAQ kind of pulled back from where it was at. Made that quick run. We made this run up here just now to, was it 14,586? Look at that. And we made actually higher than that. We dipped back really quickly. But let's go move into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still kind of hovering lower. We did make this move right up there to that 35,628. Not further than what we were looking for. We had resistance at 34,410, 34,100, but we did make it up right there. We'll stick with that, or stick with that level right to that close, which is 35,806. And for support, keeping it simple, right across that open there, that's 31,621. Now let's go and move into the S&Ps. Take a look what we're looking at there. And we're going to move into a 2-hour chart. This market just continues to move higher, and I took it on a couple of days ago, and was able to take a little bit of money out on the short side, and then I let the other part run, and it just kept on going. I ended up getting stopped out later that day in Asia, which I'm glad I did, because then obviously we've gone much higher. Looking at where we might go on a short-term basis, since we're at all-time highs, we're in a fib from this high to this low. That puts us at 43.17, which is where we're at right now. How much more can this thing move higher? I think people would probably push for 43.25 at this point. Although, once again, there's that one caveat. The volume has been abysmal for over 3 weeks. I mean, absolutely abysmal. I mentioned just the other day, was it 2 days ago or 3 days ago, the volume for the entire session was, I think, was it 580,000? The low volume, the average low volume is like 880,000, and the upper end of volume, the average volume on the upper end is 1.5 million. We traded like 580,000. I think it was 3 days ago, and it's just been going lower and lower and lower. So really, the door is open that we could hit some stops, and some air pockets, but that just simply hasn't happened at this point. But it's just one thing you have to be worried about. As I said, the one seasoned gentleman stated, markets don't go from bull to bear. So we're not necessarily looking for that, but there's certainly the potential for a pocket to open lower. we'll be looking at 42. Well, 42.86 was huge. You see right here, we had that pop. That was huge, and it's almost worked it like a pivot. So that's where they could go to. 42.86. We might have a partial right here at 42.96, but the bigger one is 42.86, and then beyond that, so I mean there might be a pause here, and then we pop back up, but the key one is 42.86. That's huge. 42.86, I believe that will end up working like a pivot. So we could end up coming down to 42.95, 94, bounce back up. I'm just saying if this scenario were to take hold, bounce up to around 43.05, 43.07, rotate lower, and then that would be the big pivot. So the big pivot is 42.86. That's huge. Um, that one's huge. It breaks out, then it really opens the door for probably a test of like 67. If it were to break, that just certainly doesn't look like it. Here, this one you got to be looking at 43.25. And let's go and move into NASDAQ. This is a pretty good little drop back. I mean, just all of a sudden out of nowhere, we make this solid run up here, and then we give back a little bit of a decent amount. Not something huge with like 30 handles. Take a look at resistance on this thing. We did get to all-time highs here, which was 14,605. Maybe you can go with 127% extension off of that. Let's take a look at that. The 14,641. I don't know why the hell that damn thing isn't switching. What's wrong with this damn thing? Just click on this real quick just to make sure I don't lose anything. Why it's doing that? Save it. And on support, let me try and then reopen it. Hold on. That's odd. It did save it. odd. Okay, let's go on and go for the support. Personally, I found that it works better just to use RTH. I mean, the we get a broader picture here, but if you're trying to figure out where to trade this stuff, it's better just to look at RTH. It is better than trying to look at the full session. So, if we do break lower, actually I came in yesterday and bought against this level, against the POC yesterday, and that actually ended up being the very low for the session. I didn't hang on to it, probably should have, but let's just take a look at the full session. This was huge right there, that 14,358. So let's go. Problem is, we've already come down here. And it's still a decent ways from down here, but let's just go with 14,486 and 14,358. And 358 is huge. Let's take a look at gold. We've had a decent run so far, a rebound in gold. We had 1783 yesterday. Look where the market ran out of gas, 1783. So why I keep saying it's better just to use the profile. Use what you want, but I found that it works much better to go with the profile. That's yesterday, but that's from the US up, and that's what makes it a little bit more difficult to use this as opposed to the indices when we go with RTH. Kicking it back. So yesterday we had 1783. The high was 1783. Revisiting it again. Of course, with non-farm payrolls, we could maybe a little bit better push. I don't think we're going to come all the way back up here. Probably right. Let's go there. 1790. Let's just go 1790. Support on the downside. We'll go to the value area high from a couple of days ago. That put us at 1765, which would also come close with the session low here. And on to crude. Okay, crude's had one heck of a run. And we are above the monthly closing level, which is 74.31. Let's take a look where that really takes us. Okay, so we didn't close above 74.23 when we finished June the 30th. We are above it right now, but we didn't close above it. So this would take us to 76.73. That's the highest it would reach on a continuous closing basis before being turned lower. Let's see here. $76.90. So yeah. And right now we are 75.17. Let's see. So high for the session has been 75.54. And yesterday's opening range low and opening range high. Opening range low was 75.69. So you can see they ran out of gas just before opening range low. Let's go with opening range high from yesterday, which is 75.88. And for support, and this is our TH. Let's try full session. Let's go with the POC on the 28th, and that'll come close to the value area low from yesterday. The POC is 74.01. Oh, holy smokes, it's a big fall. High from Wednesday was right there, 74.16. That is one heck of a fall if it does. There's a big gap to fill there. Let's go with 74.16. I'm not saying that it will. It's just if it hits the stops, that's where it's going, and it could even overshoot a little bit to 74.01. It might even drop down here to 73.88. Let's go with, let's call it 74.90. 05, just so we have a general idea. And you see here, you've got the value area high from the day before, 73.88, and the POC here is 73.94. If the wheels come off the caboose, doesn't seem likely at this point. But, and resistance. We already said that. 75.88. Actually, okay, so there's the bias chart for today. I think a lot of these numbers are already baked in the cake. I have to take some outsized numbers to get us blowing on both sides. But that being said, we'll probably get a little bit of volatility. Hard to stop these S&Ps. They just keep going to the moon. But once again, one caveat with these new highs, you don't want to be trying to find it. I tried to a couple of days ago and had not tried to recently, but I thought, okay, first day of the month, maybe we'll get a pullback. We got a minor one on the open, and then that was it. But one caveat is that we've had very, very poor volume for 3 weeks, and it's continued, almost with a culmination of Tuesdays, which was Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's just absolutely horrible. So with that being said, I'll get this posted into the room, and we'll see you in the chat room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover Webinar.